to Finding Calm in the Chaos. I am Denise Sith, and this is my podcast. Hello. Well, thanks for joining me again today. I'm Denise Sith, and this is another episode of Finding Calm in the Chaos. I'm going to talk today about the failure formula, which is what I like to call people pleasing. So this is a very touchy subject for me because a lot of people assume because people have like strong personalities that they have like strong insides. So I am essentially like a powerhouse on the outside, and then inside in the past I've been basically a marshmallow. And you know, it comes with childhood traumas and all of that, but I'm going to talk today about the failure formula. How like life, sometimes we set ourselves up, especially me. I feel like I've set myself up in the past, and I've forgiven. I don't harp on this. It takes work. You need to analyze it, but it can happen, right? Things happen in life. It's if we're not learning and elevating ourselves to another level from our mistakes and learning from them, like what are we doing, right? We're stagnant. So there's something, and there's a quote that again I found that I have no idea who did it, but it was, I cannot give you the formula for success, but I can give you the formula for failure, which is try to please everybody. And oh boy, this is essentially people pleasing. And when you come, especially if you have childhood trauma, such as myself, we've all got some touch of trauma somewhere, right? But you really have to dig at it, right? I was a major people pleaser. I so much so that I really didn't even know where I started and my friends ended. That's how bad it was. I didn't, my decisions were basically based on what would make other people happy or comfortable because I wanted to be liked. Because I was told, and I grew up with this feeling of being unheard and unrecognized. So I did this extreme, since I was a teen. Like I would guess it probably started in like my early teens, even tween, maybe 11, 12, that I thought that pleasing people and doing whatever I could for them made me easygoing. Right? And cool and likable. And pretty much what it really did was make me lost and confused and pretty unlikable. I mean, it is what it is. And, you know, when you go through life, for me, trying to be a pleaser, okay, I wasn't even living on my own terms, right? You think that because you're trying to be, you know, drama-free or nice or agreeable, or you know, I got into the stage where in my early 20s, I just, you know, and even almost into my 30s, I overly bought for people. You know, I'll do this. Here, I got this for you. And it never really allows you to be yourself, right? You're keeping your true self beneath the surface. And that doesn't do you anything, right? It doesn't serve you at all. Basically what it did was result in me being surrounded by rude, selfish, and unforgiving people. Okay. So instead of appreciating that I put their needs first, right? I got treated like a doormat. And this is pretty common with people pleasers. So you know, no boundaries. And you would think that the people you're with have no boundaries. But it's a mutual relationship. And just like any relationship, it takes two people to tango. Okay. So for most of my life, I used being a people pleaser the same way I guess some people are like drug addicts, right? I just constantly felt a need to be liked. And I was uncomfortable having other people not like me or disapprove of me. I know it sounds weird, right? It's weird when I talk about it now, but I lived more than half of my life doing this. And when you're disliked, basically you're invalidated, right? You're perceived as being wrong. When that happened, when people didn't like me, I got outrageous. I was violent. I had outbursts. I was angry. I told them off. I was horrible, right? I had these big outbursts, right? And I don't know if I mean, obviously we could talk about childhood traumas all day. However, as the adult child of an alcoholic, I lived through some shit, okay? But the events that prompted my need to please obviously stem from that. But more important than why all of it started is how to overcome it. Because at some point, you have to stop trying to please others and do something for yourself. Because it's just, you can't live your life that way. Hopefully, you stopped before I did, because I went too long, like way too long, right? And I didn't sit around, thinking that other people were going to change, because you do that too, right? And you can't. People are not going to change. They're not going to lessen their drama. They're not going to have constant, demands, constant urgencies. It's just not going to happen. You have to change your own behaviors. I had to change my behavior. Okay? Because they're not doing it. You're not going to get anywhere with that, right? The only authentic way to get out of people pleasing is to start becoming aware of what is going on inside you, right? You need to recognize that the only person I could change and that you can change is us. Period. Okay? And doing that, you have to be self-aware. You have to become self-aware, because the greatest changes begin when we look at ourselves with interest and respect instead of judgment and denial. Because that's what people pleasers are. We don't want to look, right? We have to start being aware. We have to consciously start feeling aware and give ourselves an opportunity to learn from them instead of unconsciously reacting to them, right? So you're increasing the awareness of this reality by being willing to basically encounter and uncover all these personal truths that are going to be horrible, poopy, painful, scary. There's plenty, all of the above. But it gives you a better handle when you're becoming self-aware. Again, you need a starting point. When you're doing self-development in any way, shape, or form, if you're not becoming self-aware, whether you like it or not, you have no starting place. You have to have a starting place. And for me, it gave me a choice to make different moves, right? I knew that this was how I normally did it, and it wasn't being helpful. So now what can I choose differently? Then I needed to realize that doing too much hurts rather than helps relationships, okay? I am a power doer. Oh my gosh, like what is wrong? It's just inherently this desire to people please because I want somebody to recognize and hear me. But I need to understand also that, little Denise, I got this, hon, okay? I'm a big girl now, and I don't need to use these past traumas in my current relationships because they don't serve me, okay? I learned that The health of my relationships depended on my willingness to take care of my share and be true to myself. And I learned that when you do too much for others, you're over functioning in your relationships, which what does that inevitably lead to? The other people under functioning. See this vicious circle? So, good intentions, but they basically hindered the effectiveness of my relationships in the end. They were bound to always be painful because I didn't think it through. And a lot of people do this. I understand that, right? And then I had to, because of my past and having an alcoholic father and just the unexpected, not knowing what is going to happen, right? You're always on pins and needles, no sleepovers. If you had a sleepover, hey, sometimes if I had a sleepover and I went to someone else's house thinking I was safe, sometimes he would go to their house and then I'd be mortified because here's like my drunk dad showing up at somebody's house. And when you hear the doorbell and the voice, you're never, ever talking to this friend again. And I know it's like kids will be kids. I don't blame them, right? It's scary for that stuff to happen to me, let alone for strangers to witness it. They were protecting their energy. I don't blame them. But I needed to understand the importance of being authentic, right? I had to come to terms with the fact that, and I've talked about this, we're all unique individuals. We should be able to act authentically, right? And we will connect with who we are and what we value, the same energy, the same likes, instead of always doing what other people want so that they'll like you. That is not a mutually satisfying relationship. You know what I'm saying? It gets really old really fast, and then you become in a cycle and it starts compounding. You get anxious, you start having panic attacks. You're constantly worrying, do they like me? Did I do something wrong? It doesn't serve you or your energy or your body healthy-wise, right? Health-wise even. And then you got to learn to let go. Letting go, yeah, that's the hard part. That is super hard because you feel like you need these, right? For me, I was stuck in the past and I couldn't let go of the things that were happening to me. And that snowballed into a ton of stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, I'm going to take a quick break for our sponsor, and I'll be right back. Hey friends, I've got a question for you. How much do you love your dog? This was an easy question for me. Lots. As I started to look at the ways I could increase her quality of life, I realized there were just too many options. How was I going to choose? That's why I partner with my friends over at Pet Matrix. Taking a scientific approach, they combine organic, natural compounds with highly effective peptides to aid in my dog's health journey. All you need to really know is that the results are nothing short of amazing. All I had to do was sprinkle the dry formula onto her food once a day, and I've got my Shiba back. Our Princess Chica has been using these products for more than 6 months now, and Pet Matrix has given our 14-year-old Shiba Inu the energy back in her stride. She's out in the yard taking steps in a single bound and chasing down the bunnies. I also shared Pet Matrix with my mom to help with her 15-year-old Chihuahua, Molly. And like a lot of dogs, Molly is tightly wound like a rubber band when it comes to fireworks. Adding a little of the Pet Matrix Calm to her water every morning gave Molly her first 4th of July without the shakes and crying. And that's what we want for our dogs. Pet Matrix helped me understand that building around the 3 pillars of health, immune and gut support, cognitive function, and mobility and inflammation, we can not only increase their quality of life, but also increase their quantity of life. Shika and I are all in. You can check out Pet Matrix at www.mypetmatrix.com and tell them Denise sent you. Because we love family-owned businesses, you will receive a 15% discount using promo code Denise15 at checkout, so you can help your furry babies be all they can be. Again, that's www.mypetmatrix.com and receive a 15% discount with promo code Denise15 at checkout. DENISE 15. Back. Quick sponsor break. I get to run and get something to drink. All right. So what we were talking about is basically the failure formula. People pleasers. We're talking about people pleasers today and just how I've literally spent more than half of my life being a people pleaser. And, it doesn't really is not exclusive to any kind of personality. It really, I think most of the time just stems from some sort of trauma that you've had, whether it be childhood, teenage, young adult, it's something, right? But you need to look at what is going on within you to break this people pleasing, because it does not serve you to be a people pleaser. You are going to exhaust yourself. Your cup will always be empty and you'll just be running in circles. And it's just not a good thing. I spent years trying to buy things for friends, do things for friends. I do 150%, 250%, and like never even hear from these people. And it's not on them, it's on me. I set them up. So we're talking about how, when you have these trying to please everybody personalities, you are basically setting yourself up for failure. It is a failure formula because you are not being your authentic self. You give yourself no way to share who you are, and it's just a very poisonous environment to be just with regards to the relationship in general, but also with your health, your mental state of well-being, because this stuff leads to anxiety and depression, and because you're constantly in this vicious circle of never getting anything done. And so for me, one of the biggest things with my people pleasing is basically learning to let go of the past. I couldn't let go of things that had happened to me, right? So the abuse, growing up with an alcoholic father, bullies, I had bullies as well. Just negativity in general coming from my family, friends. I know that it's strange because I look back at it now, and I was bullied in grammar school, but I have friends from grammar school that I feel are some of the greatest relationships I've ever had. Now, obviously, those people were not some of the ones that bullied me, but I was bullied horribly by people who obviously those people are friends with. And I didn't talk to anybody about it because it's not worth it. I talked to my therapist about it, and I talked and worked it out through myself, because you need to heal. It's nothing about them. It's always about you and how you do it. Would I have felt bullied if I did not have an alcoholic father? Probably not. And what happened to me was that I was bullied in grammar school, and then I went into high school and thought, no one is doing that to me ever again. And then what did I become? A hard ass. And if you even looked at me funny, what happened? I bullied you. I mean, like, what? I mean, I'm thinking to myself, what? But that is the cycle of hurt and trauma, right? So, you have all these past things that have happened to you, and bring these up, right? I was imprisoned by them, right? You're never gonna receive or access your full potential if you don't learn how to let go. I had to learn to let go of all the hateful things that people had said to me, including my family, my father, that had me living in fear of others' disapproval from essentially 3 decades of my life. It's a lot. People don't realize. So I say I'm very cautious about what I say and do and respond to Peter, because these traumas and these behaviors are generationally passed to people. You know, my dad was jacked up because his parents were jacked up. And most likely their parents were jacked up. And I want to break that cycle. I don't want Peter to feel like I felt. I want him to feel heard. I want him to feel recognized. I want to give him experience and opportunity. I want to foster ideas he has, even if they're crazy. Like I want to build a racetrack in the backyard. You know, I don't want him to feel like I did, but it's very, very hard, and it takes a lot of work to break those generational traumas. We just keep passing them on and on and on until someone just says enough, and that's what I said. So I had to let go of all the hateful things people had said to me that had me living in fear of disapproval, period. And then you got to sit back and realize that avoiding problems doesn't promote growth. Okay? Let me say that again. Avoiding your problems doesn't promote growth. So you're wondering why you're stagnant and staying in the same place. And I'm just like, wow, it's been like 2 decades and I don't really feel like I'm growing. Well, hello. You're doing the same thing, not being truly authentic to people and hiding who you are, just trying to make them like you. So you're doing whatever they ask you and volunteering for stuff and blah, blah, blah. I mean, hello? How are you supposed to grow, Denise? You know, when issues arrive in our lives, okay, we tend to react immediately by trying to get rid of them and the feelings they bring, okay? I tried everything in my power to avoid experiencing even the slightest discomfort and pain, okay? Which literally lit a fire under my urge to please people. I was like super people pleaser. And when we avoid problems and we try to get rid of them immediately by masking them, we're only making things worse for ourselves in the future. Like I made myself miserable because you have this, it literally creates this false pseudo relationship. It's totally non-reciprocal in most cases. And why? What's it doing for you? I'm telling you what it's going to do for you right now. You're going to have to start navigating through your anxiety and depression, okay? Because when we're making anxiety-based decisions, we're not being true to what we really want, right? It's all impulsive, right? Instinct. Let's do this. People like me. And that's causing us to experience even more anxiety in our own lives. I was in a vicious circle, man, okay? And when I learned to better manage that urge to please, I found myself on a more solid ground in my relationships and with my family and friends. And most importantly, with myself. But let me tell you, my family understands I have boundaries and I will not cross them. And those of you who have listened to the coffee talks know I was tested most recently by a family member who wanted to drag me in, did the whole pull your past in, throw it in your face, obscenities, trying to do things, all because he was hurt. And I didn't fall for it. I stayed true, ignored it, delete, block, closed my TikTok account. TikTok? I don't like either. And that was it. Bye. And I'm very proud that I did that. Because it means that I made a step. I didn't think twice about doing it. I made the decision to protect my boundary. And I bet you it won't ever happen again. You know, so that's what you got to do. And by doing that, I learned self-acceptance. my self-acceptance, what literally is a like ever evolving process, right? And it's really up to each one of us to get to that process in motion. Okay. And once I learned and accepted my worth, I was able to start taking on the project of becoming my best self, which in turn would make me a good friend, a true friend. And a perfect situation is my mommy friend, my co-op mommy friend. So I can talk to her now because I've already talked to her about it. Sarah, I had talked on the Mom Worthy episode about having made a comment to a mommy friend that I believe was offensive and questioned her parental judgment. I meant nothing by it, but I want to hold true to making sure that I am respecting the people that I respect and love and like. And I like her and we love having them here. So we met for a mommy night and I told her, you know what, before we start, and I sat down and I told her the situation, she totally remembered it. And I said, I want to say, I'm sorry because I feel that that I questioned your parental judgment. Again, not about how she feels, what I did. I feel like I questioned your parental judgment and I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, but it shouldn't have been said. And I'm going to try to do better next time because I like you and I enjoy your company and your family's company. And her response was, you know what? I remember that situation. I really didn't even think anything of it. I didn't feel offended by it. I know who you are and you come with good heart and you tell things like it is and you don't sugarcoat things. You're very to the point and I appreciate and respect that about you. And I'm totally okay with that. That's one of the reasons I like you. And you know what? It really solidified us, I feel, and took me and our friendship to another level by doing that because she authentically knew me and she was being authentic to me in her response. And in turn, we got to elevate our friendship because we were basically bearing our hearts to each other as moms. And that took us to another point. So she is all in. Sarah, you're my girl. But those are things that are going to help do that instead of the constant people pleasing. I didn't tell her, oh, I'm sorry I did that. Can I buy you lunch? Can I do this? Can I do that? How would I normally do that? Could I, I would bend over backwards, do weird things, bring her a gift just craziness. Now I love gift giving and don't get me, I don't think you're buying people if you give gift. I give good gifts. So when I love you and now I see that you're my people, I will send you a nice gift because I do think random cards and gifts really show people hey, they were thinking of me and they took the time to write a card. Yep, I still handwrite cards. I still like having people have birthday cards, not just Facebook stuff. It's taken out that human nature behind things. And I just feel like I need to do that. It's never too late to be free from people pleasing. Let me just tell you that, okay? It's never. It's on your own terms, okay? You make the choice. Okay, for me, breaking out of the people pleasing thing didn't happen because, I prayed that other people would change. That doesn't work at all. It never works. Instead, I decided to find ways to change my own responses to people and realized how unhelpful my basically people pleasing behaviors were to not just me, but everybody around me. Because when you're doing that, you're for people who might have the opposite problem, okay, they're falling into that. If you're a giver and you have somebody who falls into a taker trap, you're set up for the perfect unhealthy relationship. Give, overgive, take more than I should. And that's a vicious circle. It's never going to stop. That's an unhealthy relationship. And you can't change their taking habit. You just have to work on your giving habit and how much you're putting forth and that you're being truly hitting all these points, right? And then you're going to find that your relationships, I will tell you, it might have been very sparse I have always had trouble making friends with women because I was unable to resolve these things in my past, these childhood traumas. And now that I'm doing that, I'm going forward, okay, with these criteria for myself, being my authentic self, and making sure that the people that I am friending and that I want to tip a toe into the circle, that they are matching my energy, matching my ethics and my values. And it's been effortless when you're solid with what you want. But you got to be solid with what you want first. Because if you go in there all willy-nilly and you're not sure, all that bad feelings and stuff are going to come back up, and they're going to get those people sneaking in. And then you'll be people pleasing all over again. So remember, I cannot give you a formula for success, but I can give you the formula for failure. And that's trying to please everybody. So find out who you are, hit all this up. I appreciate you today. And again, if you like these podcasts, please share them. Leave me a review. Make sure you're subscribing. And also for the big release on YouTube with the European trip in June, go over and subscribe to YouTube. Takes literally 30 seconds to do. Finding Calm in the Chaos, Denise Sith. Give it a little smash the bell, and we're good to go. There's going to be great content on there. Thank you again for your time again. I appreciate you. Till next time. Thank you, friends, for spending this time with me today. If you found some calm listening in, please take a moment to subscribe to Finding Calm in the Chaos. And just so you don't miss out on future episodes, make sure you're receiving notifications. Thanks again. Until next time, lead with kindness.